Service. What is up, listeners? Welcome back to another episode of the Full Service Podcast. I am Tank Smith, your host. Today is episode 61. Thanks for being here. Shout out to my guest from last week, Freya Vulva. Freya, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. That was so good. If you have not checked out last week's episode, what are you doing? Check it out. Make sure you are following Freya. She is on Twitter at Freya_Vulva. She's at OnlyFans at Freya Vulva. I have a link to her Twitter, her OnlyFans in the Bvsm page from last week, so make sure you hit that Bvsm page. Show her some love. As always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Full Service Pod. You can find me at Tank Funkadelic. If you enjoy the show, make sure you are subscribed on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Ratings and reviews really do help for visibility for the podcast, so if you could, hit us with a 5-star rating, write us a review, tell your friends, tell your pastor, tell everybody you know. We gotta spread the word. I appreciate you being here. Episode 61. I'm so excited. I'm actually, I mentioned at the end of last week's episode, I'm heading down to Panama City. I'm actually in Panama City Beach right now. I'll be here through Saturday. It's getting real Myrtle Beach off-season vibes. That's how it's feeling right now. I feel like I haven't been to fucking Panama City since probably, my mom said probably 2004. So it's been fucking 16 years. I don't recognize anything at all. My parents do you remember when we did this? I'm like, nah, I don't remember it. Panama City is wiped from my brain, but it's a good spot. I'm trying. Hopefully I can do an interview while I'm down here or two. I will say, Panama City, there's more no AA ads than sand. Being a black dude trying to hire a sex worker in Panama City, almost impossible. But hey, I didn't do anything. I'm so excited for this episode today. Episode 61. My guest is Charlotte-based dominatrix, cam model, phone sex operator, Domina, Delilah, Bliss. We sat down a couple weeks ago, I guess, when I was on my little North Carolina tour. I hit fucking Charlotte, Greenville, Raleigh, then came back through Charlotte, and we sat down. So excited. We talk about her career as a musician, cosmetologist, being a trans woman, getting into doming, being a cam model. We talk about stream mate, phone sex, healing trauma through domination. Fucking so much fun. Y'all, this interview is so good. I love doing this. Shout out to Delilah. Thanks for being on the podcast. You can find her on Instagram at Domina Delilah Bliss, on Twitter at mrian19, her website, dominadelilashears.us. I'll have a link to all of those in the Bvsm page from this week. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to get to this interview. Hope you enjoy this interview with Domina Delilah Bliss. I will see you on the other side. Thanks. Welcome back, listeners. It's Tank Smith. I'm so excited for today's episode. My guest is Charlotte-based dominatrix and cam model Domina Delilah Bliss. Delilah, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you, actually, for having me. This is so cool. Thank you so much for wanting to do this.
I'm so glad this is awesome. I'm glad we could do this.
Yes, for sure. It's just been awesome to get to know you for a little bit beforehand.
Okay.
We do this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Listeners, we are currently in Charlotte. Delilah, how do you like Charlotte?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I've lived here for a while, right? And when I used to tour around the country, people were like, Charlotte? Yeah, why not? I'm like, there's no U-Hauls moving out of Charlotte. And people don't realize that Charlotte's actually the fastest growing city in the United States for the past 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's the second biggest banking town outside of New York. So there's a ton of fucking money.
Yeah.
And then there's the second biggest energy town outside of Houston.
Oh, really?
So there's a ton of fucking money here. When I moved here, there was 550,000 people. 20 years later, there's 2.3 million.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you've been here for a while then.
I do, but that's why I kind of relocated for the verbs. It's big, but yeah, it's a little bit too big.
So you've been here for a while. Can you recommend anything for the people? I lived in Raleigh for a while. I only came to Charlotte maybe a few times to go to Panthers games or something. Can you recommend anything for the people if they want to come through, hang out?
Absolutely. I think there's the restaurant that I always tell people to go to is Max Speed Shop By
Okay.
far, it has the best. It's just amazing. It's a foodgasm. And then there's also a place called Jim and Nick's, and they started in actually started in Charleston,
Okay.
but now they have more locations, and they have like two or three in the Charlotte area now. So Jim and Nick's, and definitely Max Speed Shop. If you come in the spring, when COVID's not around, this past year, definitely check out a base. Even if you're not a fan of baseball, check out a Charlotte Knights game, because it is so fucking fun, and it's the entire skyline of Charlotte. Like, you sit in the stands, but you just see the skyline, and it's just an incredible experience.
Hell yeah. I actually went to I guess there's like a park right outside the stadium, and I went there yesterday, kind of like walked around a little bit.
What'd you think?
It was really nice. Like, you get the whole like Charlotte skyline, the buildings are there. Like,
you can't beat that. It's
beautiful.
Like, what, $15 for a ticket, and you're seeing that, and like you're spending 4 hours. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend those things, even if you're not into baseball, and even the Charlotte Checkers games. Even if you're not into hockey.
Okay.
I go just because I don't know the rules to hockey. I think like when you skate into the corner, like the other guy from the other team has to slam you. I think that's a rule.
I feel like I feel like my hockey knowledge is just based on Mighty Ducks, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, can you have a rope on the ice? Can you?
If it's not in the rules, it means it's not against the rules.
Yeah.
So
I feel like hockey, like I've been to a few like Hurricanes games in Raleigh, and even the Thrashers when they were in Atlanta, and like hockey games are fun as fuck.
That's
like,
my point.
Hockey games are so great.
I don't even pay it. Like, you're there with your friends or whatever, and you're just having fun being there. You barely pay attention to the game.
Yeah.
But it's just so much fun. Like, I don't know the rules, but I love going to Charlotte Checkers games because it's just fun.
And there's always the potential for death by puck.
Well, I'm not going to downplay baseball because they're having some serious issues. But for hockey, hell yeah! Like, why not? Like, and what's the cause of death? He deep throated a puck, right? Like,
involuntarily.
And his mouth was raped by a puck involuntarily by a dude from the other team. The puck fucked his teeth out. Sorry. That's just funny.
It is.
I think violence is funny sometimes, as long as it's in goodwill. Like, for me, one of the funniest things I think in the world is when people get tased. Because, I mean, as a dominatrix, I just think I would watch Live PD just hoping someone would fucking get tased. Because it's funny. Like, you have these big badasses and they're like, yeah, and they all like puck up, and I'm like, you know, they're all like, oh, you're a badass. And then all of a sudden, especially if it's a female officer, and they're like, and then they're like crying like a bitch, flopping like a fish on the ground. It's just fucking funny. It's like, it's domination 101, which is really just life 101. You choose the behavior, you choose the consequence.
Yeah.
Now who's the bitch? Now who's the big badass that you're on the ground flop? It's just funny. That's the funniest thing to me in the world is when people get shot by a taser. But I'm a true sadist.
You've seen the "Don't Tase Me, Bro" video where it's like, I think maybe University of Florida.
Yeah.
Don't tase me, bro.
Yeah. Don't start. I'm gonna start cracking up. Seriously.
We'll just talk about tasers for an hour. Let's.
we could. Like, I actually love to do taser play. I haven't done that, but I would thoroughly enjoy hanging someone up, and like, especially by like a butt hook, an anal hook.
Ooh.
And then like they, they're not going anywhere. And then like make sure that it's elevated enough so that they're on their toes. They ain't going nowhere. And then just fucking tase the shit out of them. Like, watch them like, but I'm a true sadist.
I wonder if that metal in the ass would do any, like, with that.
No, I mean, because it's like a giant, it's like a barbell on the end of the hook.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then depending on how mean you are, you lube it up or not. So.
That is true.
Well, it depends on my mood, if I give you lube or not. Like, so it's like, I just think
you gotta be nice because you want to need the lube.
To me, that's funny. Like, anyway, I am a sadist. Like, look what happened to you, you idiot. You deserve it for being stupid. Natural selection at its finest. Anyway, I'm sorry.
What's something you're passionate about?
In terms of like anything in my life?
Yeah.
Well, children's rights. There's a place here in Charlotte called the Council for Children's Rights, and I volunteered with them for about 15 years. And it's basically for children going through issues, whether it be foster care or anything like that. They have free lawyers, they have free this, especially even in divorces or custody issues or like our interest is that it's the best interest in the child. And a lot of times in court, the parents have lawyers, the state has a lawyer, but no one's the lawyer for the child.
Yeah.
And so we go out of our way to make sure that these kids, especially if they've been through trauma and stuff like that, that they get what they need. So I do that. I actually started my own charity for psychiatric service dogs 9 years ago.
Hell yeah.
And I'm very passionate about that. And more recently, obviously, transgender rights because, well, obviously, and I was, believe it or not, I was clueless about it before. And now when I learned that we are the most murdered part of society, it was like, wow. So I'm very big on that. And I think those are pretty much my big issues. Like those are the things that I'm really, really passionate about. And healing trauma. Like people who have gone through trauma, that's definitely my passion. Like I it's real big for me. Because to understand trauma and different kinds of trauma and how it affects you neurologically. People always think it's psychiatric and really it's neurologic. Those are my big things for sure. I think that's one of my true gifts, of my 3 true gifts, is being able to heal trauma.
I feel like it, just being able to do that just helps people out so much. Because you might not know like the weight that people carry around, and then just like being able to like heal them is like such a great thing.
And one of my so I don't know if you've heard of these personality types, but it's the Briggs-Myers, right?
Okay, yeah.
And basically there's 16 different personality types in the world. And I am a solid INFJ, which is the rarest one.
Really?
And Oprah, like Bvsm, like anyway, and it's just the fact that like we're healers, like we're the advocate is what they call us. And so it's very normal for me to like sit with somebody, and especially when I have Taylor, who's my service dog, with me, like she's like bait for people. It's like they always want to come, oh, look at it. I'm like, no, you can't touch her. She's a service dog. But they'll start telling my whole life. People will start telling me their life story, and then like a half hour later, they're like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I just opened up to you. I've told stuff that I've never told anyone. I'm like, yeah, that happens a lot every day, and not that it's a bother, but I just think that it's just my gift. And it's like, and if I can use my things that I've been through and things that I understand and help them, then that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like because people sense that in certain people, and it's
they
like,
do.
I feel like I can open up to you.
They do.
And the fact that
you're not going to judge me for it. You're not going to like, and I feel like I can just tell you, and they might not, you might be the only person in their life that they'll be able to like feel comfortable enough to tell.
Yeah.
That's an honor to me.
Definitely. Like,
it's not a bother to me. That's a truly big honor. Like, thank you. Namaste.
Yeah.
So.
Fuck yeah. What do you like to do for fun?
Make people cry.
Yeah. Like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Well, I mean, she was a lightweight. Like, for me, it's like I mean, there's a reason I do what I do, with work. But I mean, I like to watch football. Like, I'm from Maryland originally, so like I love watching the Ravens and I love the Baltimore Orioles. I don't ride or die. I don't care how good or bad they are. And I like to be the biggest thing I like to do in the world is to be with the people that I love and care about. Like that's it for me.
Yeah.
Like as long as I just have their time, whether it's through Skype or whether it's through being with them or texting, like that, to me, that's my favorite thing in the world. And outside of that, I'm really up for anything. I don't go to concerts anymore unless it's a band that I know, and like, because to me, going to a concert now is like work from what I did before.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, and then I'll watch it, and I don't mean to, but I'll critique it. Like one time there was this like little, it was the fall festival, and like this band was playing, and like they took a little intermission, and the singer like walked by, and I was like, you might want to tell your sound guy to turn your ears up because you can't hear yourself, can you? And she's like, no, how did you know? I'm like,
it is funny, like, because like with stand up, like I went to a stand up show last night, and I'm just like, just watching the comics on stage, and I'm like, oh, I like understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
And even kind of the headliner, he mentioned at the beginning of his set that he hadn't been up since like March, and at one point he kind of forgot where he was going with a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I see. Like
but that's when you do a cheap pop.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm still so glad to be right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the people are like, yeah. And then that just gets you back on track. And they don't know.
He did that a few times. And I'm like, he still doesn't know where he's going.
Yep.
Still doesn't know.
Yep.
Still does. Okay, now he's got it. Now he's back.
Yeah.
And you see it.
But, as a regular person who watches that, you don't know. It's like being in the music industry. People don't understand, like, the job that it is. Like, they see the band on stage, and you just had the best night of your life. That was your favorite band. It's 10:30. It's curfew. You got to go home. You're still in the glow of having the best night of your life. Well, that's their job.
Yeah.
Like, they don't think of it as that's their job. And, while you're going home and going to bed, they're on a bus until 4 a.m. going to the next city because I got to get up at 6 to do radio and the press that city. And, like, then they got to go do radio stuff all day, and then they have the fan meet and greets, and then they have sound check, and then they have, like, it,
rinse, repeat.
Yeah, like, and people don't get that because they just don't see that side of it.
Yeah. Did you ever tour, like, around the country, like, nationally?
Oh, yeah.
How was that?
I've been to every continent. Well, I haven't been to Antarctica, obviously, but yeah, I've toured I've toured in every state. I've been over in Europe on a really big tour. I won't say the band's name, but if they had an Alive album that was really big, they probably had two, and it was the 35th anniversary of that record, and we toured Europe and European stadiums, so it was really cool seeing. That
has to be amazing.
7,000. Well, what's really crazy is, like, that particular band, like, I had posters on my walls. Right? And I'm like, I would love to go on tour with them one day. Like, as a kid.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
Damn.
Right? I got to, but not in the way that I expected.
Yeah, okay.
Which is kind of like how I dom, too, to be honest with you. But, like, I mean, it was really cool, but people don't understand, like, how it can take a toll on your health. Like, I actually had to stop touring because of the, 150 flights a year for 20 years. People don't know that can kill all that radiation up there. They only let flight attendants and pilots fly in the air for 30 hours a week.
Oh, shit.
Well, I'm spending a lot more than that up there.
Damn.
Right? So then think of all this radiation I'm getting. It killed my endocrine system. Now all of a sudden I wasn't feeling right for like 6 weeks on tour, and I went into my doctor. I flew into Charlotte, and she, like, did blood tests. She's like, okay, we got to check this. I'm like, okay. So she did another thing. She's like, oh, we need to do a bone density scan. I'm like, what? So bone density? Come to find out, like, she's like, okay, so your endocrine system is dead, your thyroid doesn't exist, you have no vitamin D in your body, and you have osteoporosis. And I was like,
the music did that?
the traveling did that. Yeah, like the industry, like, all, like, the radiation, it just killed. I'm like, what? And I was like, well, how do we fix it? Because I got to go to Fort Myers tonight. And she's like, no, you don't understand. I can't sign you off for your tour insurance.
Oh, shit.
You're off the road. Like, killed me.
I was going to say, how was that? Like,
well, that's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
Like, that was my life. And so it was people, I think people just don't understand the actually how taxing it is to tour.
Yeah.
And especially even if you don't get to fly and you just take a bus, the traveling in itself is a job. And then you have to do your job.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty fun, but you don't really see anything like people think. Like, they think, oh, you travel all these places. Well, yeah, you see what's outside the window of the bus. You see the venue, you see the hotel, and you see the hotel bar. And that's it. And then it's off to the next place. So you don't see anything. Even though you've been around the world, you don't see anything. I mean, traveling through Europe was really awesome, and seeing things like that. But I say I've been to every town in America, and I know why no one lives in Wyoming. Like, so I just, like...
They got the Tetons, that's it,
Yeah, I mean, you have one person every 2 miles out there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not going to live there because there ain't no 911.
Nope. You got to be self-sufficient out there.
They are. I actually have a client who, he's, like, snowed in. Like, he'll get snowed in for, like, 2 weeks.
Jesus.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Jesus.
Yeah.
But Jesus would love to come see me, though. I'm sure I'd send him to hell.
All right.
Like, he's like, it's
have
just
flashbacks.
like,
Give him flashbacks.
Yeah. Come here, son of God. I got something for you, boy.
I'm gonna break those legs this time, though.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure you can't walk for a week, bitch. So that's my Halloween costume this year. I think I'm gonna do the since I'm a Merovingian, I think I'm gonna do the naughty nun thing.
Okay.
And just do like a whole. I just have a lot planned for that. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Do you want the body of Christ, bitch? Do you want the Corpus Christi? Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I gotta see the Halloween costume.
Well, my friend, my best friend Cat Blue, she comes on StreamMate as well, and like I had an idea that like I wish we lived in the same city, so that way I could be the good one in the nun costume, and then she could dress up like as like her like devilish self, and like we could be the good and bad, but really you're fucked either way,
yeah.
So you're done, boy. Like, anyway.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Can you remember? I always like to ask my guests this. Can you remember like the first time you like heard of sex work?
I can. I was actually shocked to find out that I did it, because to me, domination is just like a special like. It's a different thing, right? So camming, obviously, I'm on a porn site, but I don't. I mean, I only dominate when I'm on cam, and it's just like I didn't. I mean, yes, there are sexual things involved, but I see more of what I do as therapeutically thing, and then yeah, obviously there's the fetish things, but like it was actually my friend. She's like, I was like, what's all this sex work stuff and like sex work for rights and all this other? And she's like, ding dong, you're a fucking sex worker, and I'm like. I am? And she's like, yeah. And she was like, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I kind of am. I'm really very smart, by the way. It's like, oh yeah, I guess I kind of am. Sometimes I just don't get two and two sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, when I heard of it, like, I mean, obviously, like, when you're young, you hear of like prostitution or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? If you're not hurting anybody, go do what you do. Like,
yeah.
Well, relatively speaking, I mean, I would like unconsensual consent. That's what I get, because then I get to brutally hurt you as any way I want. But you did it to yourself, so
you consented.
That's right. So I mean, that's when I really heard about it, and I realized that yeah, I am a part of that, and so I'm much more like, what's the word? Aware of it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you remember like your first kind of like, I guess, exposure to BDSM at all?
Yeah. It was it was really like, you know, I didn't even really see all I saw with it was the power exchange. Like, okay. It doesn't matter what's going on sexually. The only thing that I saw there was the power exchange. And that's what really got it to me. And then I actually started relating to it in another way. Like, when I started cutting hair, it was like, I can control your life. Like I told you all earlier, like, people don't realize like the power, like all hairdressers are dominatrices, even if they don't think that they are. Like, they have the power they're standing next to you with a sharp instrument. You better be nice to them.
They could fuck up your like next couple weeks.
Your hair, like if you have long hair and you're being a bitch to your hairdresser, she can fuck up your life for 3 years trying to grow it back out.
Oh God.
So you need to be nice. That's power.
Because you mentioned your hairdresser. We haven't talked about it, but you've been doing hair for a while. Like,
yeah, I took it in high school.
Okay.
And actually, we had 2 weeks from the last day of school until our graduation, and I actually had my cosmetology license 2 days before I had my high school diploma.
I saw that on your website. I'm like, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, so it's just the way weird how it worked out. But I mean, so I've done hair. We've owned salons here in the Charlotte area that we ended up selling and stuff like that. We were voted one of the top 10 spray tan salons in the nation by 17 magazine, like 10 years ago and stuff. That
oh wow,
we don't have it anymore, but yeah, it was fun.
Hell yeah! Do you still like cut hair?
I do, for people I know and stuff like that. Like, I don't work in salons anymore per se, but. Yeah, absolutely. It's like I'm never not gonna not do hair. It's just it's as normal to me as breathing.
Yeah,
and it's just what I do. I heal trauma. I do hair, and I give trauma. Like, that's all I know how to do. Like, those are my talents. Like, that's it.
Hell yeah! How did you get into doming?
Actually, that's a really great question. It started like when I first had like my first fetish. But I didn't know it was a fetish. And it happened in high school with a girlfriend of mine when, actually, again, it's hair related. Like, I would get like, I would have these girlfriends and I'm like, I'm so sick of my hair. I just want to cut it off. And like my one girlfriend that I went to my prom with, she's like, Dawn, it's so pretty. Oh my God, Dawn. I'm like, what the fuck? Do you like my hair? Or do you like me? And then like a couple of weeks later, or a couple months later, I had another girlfriend and she was like, no, Dawn, it's so pretty. No, Dawn. Because everybody loves your hair. And I'm like, do you like my hair more than me too? So now I'm like sensing a pattern, right? And then like finally, like a year later from the first time, I was at the pool with an ex-girlfriend and getting out of the pool. My hair's like, it was this long then, and I was 18, and she was like, I was like, oh my God, I have to comb this shit out. I'm getting so sick of it. I just want to cut it off. She's like, good, give me the fucking shears. And I was like, what? And she was like, I hate your fucking hair. I want it gone. And I was like, I thought you loved it. She's like, no. And I'm like, well, why didn't you say something? She's like, because it's your hair. And I was like, I appreciate that, but that was pretty fucking hot when you just said that, right? Like, I was like, why am I feeling all squirmy right now? You know what I mean? And so I think that's when I realized, like, having someone yell at you could actually be really hot. And I mean, I remember when I was little, when like when I would get a spanking, I would be like, I'd be laughing, like I'd be like, is that all you got? Like, and it like it's just so I think it's just always been there, but I just didn't really know what it was. And then when I finally understood it more and understood the psychology behind it, it was like, oh well, yeah, I'm just naturally like this. This is really cool.
What made you want to decide to like pursue it like professionally?
BDSM?
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of a mix between I majored in social work at Florida State University because I wanted to be a therapist. And I also was trained for a year. I did an understudy with Mistress Elizabetta. And I didn't realize at that time that a lot of clients that come are actually, whether maybe consciously or unconsciously, they might be working through some issues, that they might not even be aware of. And some of them are. And I realized that it was a way to actually use what I'd learned as being trained as a therapist. And it's also a way for me to do what I know naturally as a dominatrix and to kind of integrate it all. And it was just the perfect thing at the right time. And it was just like being able to integrate all of my natural talents and not worrying about what other people thought of it and losing all my fear and gaining my own life. Like I always tell people, I gave up all my fear of trying to live my life as other people wanted me to be. I started doing it for myself and it has never been fucking better. Like I gave up every fear and I gained my entire life. That's what I tell people.
I feel like that has to be so fucking powerful when you do that. Cause like not many people can just drop their fear and like live like honest and like who they fucking
authentic.
Yeah.
That's the key word. It's like living authentically. And I do. And the great thing is I live in the moment. I live authentically and yoga has really taught me that though too. Like yoga really brought me into that awareness. So, and ever since then, it's just, I don't know how to be any different.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I should do yoga.
I think everybody should do yoga. I really do. Well, I mean,
it's so fucking hard. It's like,
but you go at your own pace.
That is true.
And people think that you have to be like in shape or this or that. Well, yoga will get you in shape.
Yeah.
It's funny. People think my yoga instructor actually used to, she's also the yoga instructor for like a lot of NASCAR teams.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the Carolina Checkers.
Oh, okay.
Or the Charlotte Checkers. Like she's the yoga teacher. They do yoga. It's because your coordination, your balance and the strength training and your stamina, like, yeah, it's no joke.
Damn.
And sexually yoga helps you too.
Well, that's all you should have said.
Well, I mean, like, I have this game I play where like the first time that I'm with someone like in bed, like I'll say, babe, I need you to pick a number between 1 and 10. And like she'll pick a number and like it's like she'll just say the number and she's like, why? And I'm like, because that's how many times I'm gonna make you come before I do. Right?
Gracious lover.
I am so selfless, aren't I? I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for yoga though. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Like yoga teaches you that control and stuff.
I gotta talk to you after this.
Now everybody needs yoga, right? See, I just made 1,000 people sign up for yoga.
Wow. I need a consultation at least.
Yeah, there you go.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah. Did starting out, how long have you been doming professionally?
It's a good thing you said professionally. All my life. But no, professionally, probably, well, about a year and a half.
Okay. Did anybody kind of like help you starting out like along the way, or are you kind of doing this yourself? Or?
Well, I mean, I had Mr. Elizabeta as, when I was in Arizona, who would, help guide me and help me learn like the intricacies of everything. But when I started like out myself here in Charlotte, no one really helped me. I just kind of made my way and figured out my own things, and I didn't ask anybody for help. Like, I just did what I thought was right and took experience from other industries and for marketing, and and kind of did it. And then eventually I met people and I'd ask them, other girls or other providers and different things. But no, originally it wasn't really hard because I knew how to do marketing and stuff like that. What was hard, that's what she said, was like when your first client, like say you're a dominate, like you actually have your first client. That's different. Like that's kind of like the phlebotomist who like stabs oranges all day, and then they move on to like a pig or something like that, and all of a sudden, oh shit, it's a human being. It's a live human being. I can fuck you up. Like, so there's kind of like that, and you have to, but you find your way. You get comfortable with it if it's natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like starting out, like there was like maybe like a waiver period or like a learning curve to where you like weren't good at doming?
No.
No?
No.
Everybody's always so cocky. They're like, I was always good. Ever since the beginning. Like,
well, honestly, I think that a lot of people say that and it's more ego-based, more than it's real truth-based. For me, it's a matter of going back to being authentic. Right?
Okay.
And it's not a matter of ego, or it's not a matter of like what I want to portray myself to be to the public. It's just that I know how I am, and I know that I'm good at what I do, or else I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. It's like, okay, no, this is just what I do. My sister gave me some of the best advice ever, like before she passed away. She's like, it's what you do. Go do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd never thought of it that, but it's like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And no, it's just so natural to me. It's as natural as breathing. So it's just, there's nothing to it to me.
Do you feel like your like past careers, like a musician, cosmetology, do you feel like that has played a role into your doming profession?
Without a doubt. I'm glad that actually it happened in the order that it did. I always say that like, I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't do what I did before, which is why I never have any regrets, because I either learned from it or I got better from it. So getting all that experience in marketing in the music industry and learning how to do interpersonal things, doing hair with people and how to relate to them on a one-on-one level, learning how to do interpersonal communication in college to be a therapist, like those are all things that truly helped me. So it was really like I said earlier, the perfect time where I could take all these different things and just put it all together.
I feel like that's like so helpful, because I feel like everything in your life kind of like gives you, or I guess everything you do is meaningful. You might not know it at the time, but it's like kind of leads up to.
Yeah. And even if people get upset if like they they think that they're a failure, this, that, and I'm like, well, fail forward. You can go ahead and fail all you want. Just fail forward.
Yeah.
Well, the definition of tenacity, have you ever heard this?
Maybe.
Never let defeat have the last word.
Damn, no. I hadn't heard that, but that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I'm going to go ahead and fail forward if I'm going to fail. And well, here in the South, when I first moved down here, my neighbor had this saying. He goes, well, Delilah, we're going to have chicken. And I'm like, what? He's like, we're going to have chicken. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? He's like, it might be chicken shit or it might be chicken salad, but we going to have chicken. It's like, I get it. It just means, you know what? We're going to have to go and find out and do it and then readjust afterwards. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
I feel like that's such a Southern phrase.
So
I love that.
there's some good Southernisms, and I'm good with all of them. There's only, you would think I would be okay with it, but maybe it's because of doing hair. It's like a giant pet peeve. And I'm sure you've heard it when they're like, will you cut on the lights? It is physically impossible to cut something on. I can cut your fucking hair off all goddamn day. I cannot cut it on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate that.
Cut on, yeah.
Like, everything else is fun. Like, get gone. I love that statement.
Yeah.
Well, you better do that before it gets gone. Like, people who from like not from around the South would be like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
I feel like bless your heart's huge in the South too.
Well, that's a secret. We can't talk about that. What that really means.
That's really just a fuck you.
No, what? Shh! Don't tell them. It depends on how it's being said. That's the secret.
Yeah.
Well, bless. A bless.
I feel like that's still in it.
Bless is the ultimate fuck you.
Bless.
Well, bless. But if you just well, bless your heart. Yeah, that means you're a fucking idiot. Yeah.
I pity you so much right now.
Yeah, you got to hear the tone that it's above, but it's always a fuck you.
Yeah, it's never good.
It's not, no, but you know what? We'll use our southern charm and say it, darling.
Yeah.
You'll never fucking know, especially with how good I look and a smile on my face, and I act like I actually give a shit. But you know what? I don't. I hope you have to go home and sit on a bed of nails for all I give a shit.
You can say anything with that accent; it'll sound good.
That's my point. Yep, exactly.
That's why everybody loves it. Like people shit on the South a lot, but that fucking accent will win your heart over.
I don't disagree with you. That's the one. That's the accent that makes me. I've traveled all over this world. Southern accent. It's like butter.
Yeah.
Like it's. I'm done. Just keep talking to me. Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah. What do you think your biggest challenge was starting out in doming?
For sure, my biggest thing was gaining a following and let people know that I was actually doing it. I mean, there's some, especially in the South, you know, a lot of people don't agree with it. Like, oh, well, you're a fucking homewrecker. When you're goddamn right I am. It's like, I'm fucking proud of it. Like, I did wreck your home, and you know what? It's always the wives that get pissed off, or the girlfriends. I'm like, yeah, I did. And I should be your best fucking friend, because you know why? I liberated you from that fucktard. Like, I should be your best friend. Like, why are you yelling at me? I liberated you. You were no longer connected to him. I gave you freedom. Like, you found out what a douche he is. Like...
Damn.
Like I take it with a badge of honor, but I think it was definitely getting a following was the hardest thing. Because like when you're first starting out, you're like, okay, well, what do I do? How do I do this? Like, where am I gonna, you know? And then building up a following on social media, was, I mean, there's ways to do it, but you know, you got to let people know you're there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't. So I think that was really it, and just finding my way of like where I could promote myself the best. And things like that, because it's different for everybody.
How big was social media in like building your brand, starting out now? How important is social media to your business?
It's probably the most important thing in terms of exposure and advertising, without a doubt. And I think I learned so much of it from the music industry. I mean, that's, again, taking a former thing and then just applying it to what I'm doing now. Like, I mean, when you're working with some of the biggest bands in the world that have some of the best record companies who have the best digital marketing teams, you learn a bunch of tricks and secrets, you know? Yeah. So I would just apply those, and it really helped a lot. And I think if people can't find you on the internet, then you don't exist.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to be seen. And there's ways to do that are actually free. Some people pay services and this and that, and that's fine. Whatever it is that you need to do, go do it.
Yeah. What do you think the most important thing you learned starting out was?
That I made a mistake not doing it a lot earlier.
That's what so many people say. They're like, God, I wish I did this before.
Well, remember we were just talking earlier, and I say one of the things I ask people, you know, just in passing when I meet people all the time is just like, how much did they pay you to give up on your dream? You know, people take that corporate job and then they don't do the dream that they had and stuff like that. But I didn't have any aspirations to be a dominatrix. Like, I just knew that I was good at it, but I didn't know you could have a career at it, you know? And then I finally learned it, and it was learned that you could. And I do wish sometimes that I just started earlier. Yeah. I mean, I kind of had like a few-year break when I left the music industry, and I wish that I started doming then, because that way I'd have a few more years that I would have been able to enjoy seeing people cry. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about doming?
Oh my gosh. My favorite thing about doming, there's a couple of different things, and I guess it describes them like what department you want to like, you know, like what department you're talking about.
Okay.
Like, I love seeing people cry. It like if I can make them cry, I'm happy. Like, I love it when like you have like this big old badass and then all of a sudden like he's on his knees and you're fucking got tears rolling out of his face and I'm like, yeah, you are a badass, aren't you? Especially when that thing gets fucked and you can't sit down for a week. Like I love seeing people cry. I mean, I'm a true sadist. Like, people, like, if people want like a sensual dom, I tell them all the time, I am not your girl. I'm not going to be, I don't even know how to do that. And I'm not going to do it. I'm just not that, like, I just do what I do. And it's very shock and awe.
I heard the call, like so good. You're so good. You're great.
No, thank you. That he couldn't take it.
He couldn't.
No. He either came and 3-minute brother, like, look at that. 3-minute brother couldn't even hang. Oh. Or it was like too intense for him. One or the other.
Because I feel like there's so much power. Like, the amount of power you exhibit and like have is just fucking amazing. It's incredible.
Well, and what's really funny is that this is really, really funny. I actually take calls on Night Flirt. I never turn my line off. And so I broke my toes in February, like 4 days before the AVN Awards, and I was going to go out to there and do a streammate party, right? That it's like all the model, like if the fans of Streammate would love to get into this party because you can't even take your friends, like the models of we can't even take it's just the models.
Oh wow.
Yeah, tell me that the people aren't gonna fucking love that. So like you have all these gorgeous girls in there, and like I was really looking forward and going to meeting people. Broke my toes, couldn't go. I was in the hospital 4 days and missed it. I took calls in the emergency room. I took calls in my house. Like, I don't care. I'll do it in the grocery store. I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me as long as, obviously I don't want any, minors around to hear it. And I'm pretty respectful to seniors. But other than that, I'll let it fly. And like, it's funny because my friends, what's really odd is my friends who have never like seen that side of me or experienced it, because it's just, they just usually have. So probably about 2 months ago, my friend Laura was here. This is really funny. And it was the first time she ever heard my call. And it was like a 20-minute call. And it was my birthday. So this guy was calling me to wish me happy birthday. And I was like, well, guess what, sissy? It's my birthday, but you're the fucking star. We're going to dress you up like a fucking ballerina and you're going to get on the table and dance for us with a plug up your ass, bitch. I was like, it's my birthday. And like, we were just humiliating the shit out of the sissy bitch. And Laura, like, she was like, I got off the call, it was like 20 minutes, and she goes, that was the best thing I have ever seen in my life, experienced. And I was like, I usually just say, we all have our gifts. Like,
just take a bow.
Yeah, we all have our gifts, and it's just normal to me.
So good.
Thank you.
Do you feel like, how important is having someone to talk about work with? How important is it important to be able to talk to somebody?
Oh my God, without a doubt, yes. People don't. I think a lot of people, if they haven't cammed or if they haven't dommed, they don't know what it's like for us. Obviously, because they're just the client, they're just the sub. They don't understand that we have to deal with it too. Like in domination, it was very important that Mr. Elizabeth to understand that I grasped the concept of aftercare with a sub. Like after the session, we had 10-15 minutes at the end of that session where we talk to them. How are you? How are you feeling? Do you feel safe? Make sure everything was good. And then they're in a good space when they leave. When you're camming for 5 hours or 10 hours or 48 hours, like I've done before, and I mean, you take calls nonstop, sometimes you get trapped in that headspace. Yeah. That'll fuck you up. Like I've actually had, my friend Cat Blue, she's actually been like, you know what? You need to get your ass off cam. Like usually it's the opposite because I'm lazy. She's like, bitch, get your ass on cam. But this time it's like, Delilah, you need to stop now. Get the fuck off cam. Because it really just like, unless you do it, you don't get it. You just don't. And yeah. So being able to like talk about those things to people that understand it is incredible. And I love the fact that Streammate has a social hour where like we can all get together on a Zoom talk and like talk about what's going on or whatever we need. It's really amazing. StreamMate's an amazing company. Like they've done a lot. I'm very honored that I partnered with them. Like it was probably the best decision I've made in my life, and I always say that. It seems like, but it's just the truth.
Hell yeah. Was there any hesitancy at all? Like, I guess in camming, like showing your face at all?
No. I mean, I guess people have this thing about, you know, and I guess it varies for every individual performer, or, you know, in every individual case and what's going on in their lives. But for me, I'm not hiding it from anyone, and I'm not worried. I mean, I guess I don't take it seriously enough to think I'm going to be recognized. And so no, it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I actually decided when COVID started and everyone's going around wearing a mask, right? Well, I'm on cam and I'm like, you know what? You want something, you fucking pay me, bitch.
Yeah.
Right? So I would wear my mask on cam. And if you wanted to see my face, you could tip me 10 gold and I'd take my mask off for 10 seconds. I made that first hour, I made 80 gold for 1 minute and 20 seconds worth of work.
Beautiful.
And I was like, take off your mask. I'm like, did you just try to tell me what to do? That's kind of cute. You're pretty brave, Laser. So, yeah. I mean, and then they would just go ahead and I'm like, yeah, you always get those guys who are like, stand up, do this, do that. And it's like, pay me, bitch.
Yeah. That costs money.
Yeah. Like, if you want it, pay for it. How bad do you want it? Like, yeah. I mean, you just learn these things.
Who would you say your, like, average clientele is?
I don't think there is any. I really don't.
Nice.
I mean, I have men, women, I have couples, I've dealt with every race. I have regulars on cam and phone that are Australia, Europe, Ireland for some reason is pretty popular. I really don't. I mean, I think I work with people I have subs and clients that are a really good cross culture. In person, I will say that there is a difference though.
Okay.
In person, I tend to have more high-end types of clients.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say exactly the companies, but I'll just say that Charlotte's a pretty big banking town.
Okay.
And so they have a lot of money. And I thoroughly enjoy showing up outside the building while they take me shopping for them. And I get to put them in little sissy outfits at lunch.
Nice.
And then shove a fucking dildo up their ass in the dressing room where they can't say a word. And they just have to take it. And then I make them go ahead and wear the new pretty outfit I picked for them. I make them wear it underneath their suit and send them back on their fucking way to work with their butt hurt. Like, so, I mean, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, right?
That's badass.
Somebody's got to do it. It might as well be me.
That's so dope.
Like, I mean, I think in person is different for sure.
What's the difference? Because I know, like, just like doing something in person versus virtually, the energy is going to be fucking.
Well, yeah. I mean, in person, you can sense the energy, and on cam you can do that too. But you can't see them on cam. They can see you, but you can't see them. Unless you go into a private session or an exclusive session, and then, you know, they can do cam to cam at that point. And then it's a little bit easier. But, you know, especially when you're building rapport, or like even when you're doing, a lot of people want to do sexting. I mean, there's a lot of popular services to do that. It's really hard to build a rapport that way. I mean, you've got to be really good what you're doing in order to actually be able to do a domination or a role play through text.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty advanced stuff. How are you going to communicate and connect with that person, learn their kinks and fetishes and fantasies, like on the fly, and then, you know, keep going with it? It's really hard.
I feel like just through text would have to be just so difficult because, I mean, when you see somebody or you can speak to somebody on the phone, you can hear intonation, right, how they fucking,
well, of course,
emotion,
right? And I guess it goes back to again, everything that I've done before helps me now. When I learned in interpersonal communications, that was the class. And
that was my favorite class in college.
Yes,
I will say. So,
and you learned the communication that it's only 7% the words.
Yeah,
it's all tone. It's mostly your body language, and then it's how you say things. It's not what you say.
Yeah.
So it's always great, like when you're in person, you can not only that, but you can sense the energy in person. On cam, you can, and on phone, you can hear it on phone. And when you're on cam to cam with somebody as a webcam model, you can, get that stuff too. But through text, I'm like working in the dark here. It's a pretty good thing I do that a lot.
Yeah.
No wonder I'm good at it.
Do you feel like clients sense a difference between in person and online?
They should. I mean, if you can't afford me online, if you can't afford me in person, I mean, I'm no different than I am. Like, it's not that, like, if I give any less if I do it on cam. I certainly wouldn't do that because I'm just me.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get exactly what I am, but obviously the experience is different, I think when you cam, you can only do so much through cam. Like, I can sit here and be like, okay, I'll give you a little thing here. So, like, one of the things that I always end up saying is I'll ask the person, I was like, have you ever had your G-spot hit? And they're like, sometimes they know what it is, sometimes they haven't. And I'm like, and if they haven't, I'm like, do you know what happens when somebody hits your G-spot? I was like, women have G-spots, right? And they're like, yeah, of course. I'm like, yeah, of course you do. Fucking loser. I just told you. No, that's how you know. But I'm like, well, the guys have one too. And they're like, where? And I'm like, you have one in your pussy too, bitch. And they're like, what? Like, I was like, you've never had your G-spot hit before? And they're like, no. And I was like, well, you want to know what happens when you get your G-spot hit? And they're like, what? I'm like, it doesn't even matter if you're hard. You're going to shoot 20 feet rope of cum. And I was like, so imagine this. I'm going to go ahead and take out a strap-on, bend you over, and I'm quite literally going to fuck the cum out of you. And there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it, boy. And they're like, mortified. They're like at that point, they're either in or they're out. You know what I mean? It's like, and usually at that point, they're like too like shock and awe. And like, I mean, it's just my style. Like I've overpowered them. I flustered them to the point that like, and then it's that like confusion in the head. It's like, yeah, you're mine. I own you.
Yeah.
You can say, yeah, I own you. You're done.
Damn. That's incredible. I felt that shit. I was like,
did you?
I was like,
yeah, it's true. It's just like, yeah. So it's that's why I love what I do. I don't consider it work, and the fact that I can make money doing it, like you can get paid for this shit. Like, are you kidding me? Like, okay, and all I'm doing is just living my life.
Yeah,
and doing what I love to do.
Yeah, I know one of the things with us kind of talking before this, and even when we were kind of emailing back and forth, you mentioned forced haircuts.
Yeah,
as part of your not many doms do that.
I honestly, I'm sure there's more than what I know. There's a studio in England. There's one in Australia, and I know someone I think she's living in San Francisco now. She was in Seattle, and there's one other person, and then there's me. Like, it's, if anyone else sits there and says that they specialize in it, they're full of shit. Yeah. Like, because if we don't know about you, then you don't really specialize in it. But yeah, it's very, very, people never think of that. And so like you heard on that call, like, it was like, they'll be like, I'll do anything. I'm like, anything? Don't lie to me, butch. Like, and they're like, okay, as long as you mean, use words you don't mean. They're like, no, I mean it. I'm like, so I continue to get the buy-in, right? I'm like, okay. And then it's like, well, how long is your hair? And then it's like, it doesn't really matter how long it is. It's gone. So it's like, well, and especially if they do what they want to do, like feminization. I love that. Yeah. It's like, so it's like, well, you want to be a pretty girl, don't you? And they're like, yeah. And I'm always like, what happens to pretty girls? And they're always like, they get fucked. And I'm like, no, honey, pretty girls get destroyed. And they're like, I was like, so if you want to be a pretty girl for me and a good girl, we're going to have to shave all that fucking shit off your head and put it on the floor. What? Because I need to dress you in wigs. And this way, I'm just going to change your wig every time I want. Damn. I can make you look how I want anytime. You don't have to worry about hair ever again. And then there's like guys that like have like, you know, the being dominated in public, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna sit there and shoot you like a fucking sheep until you cry like a little bitch. Like, I want your tears to fucking, I want the hair I shave off your head to stick to your tears, you fucking loser. Like, that's like my favorite thing. And like, and they just don't expect it. Like, but then like, it's funny because after that, whether it's in person or even like, you know, on camera fantasy, like, they learn to love it. Like, now all of a sudden I just given them a fetish. And I'm pretty proud of that.
Is it a good haircut?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like, are you kidding?
I'm like, yo, I need a fade.
Well, I mean, for me, I mean, obviously when I do that, I'm like, yeah, you can need one all you want, but it's not about you, bitch. It's about me. So you'll get a fade, all right, but maybe not the way you want. So, but no, seriously, like, I mean, honestly, I know they have to go back to like their life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes I just like do something stupid if I really want to humiliate them. But like the other thing I love about it is this, like, it's funny that they don't realize this ahead of time. They have to go back to their life, right? And obviously if it's a professional client or something like that, and you know, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and like, I'm not there to like really harm them, except in the time that we're together. But when you cut their hair, they can't hide that.
No, you cannot hide that at all.
What if they're married? What if they've got a serious girlfriend or fiance? And
Honey,
then all of a sudden,
I went to the barbershop.
Yeah, like, how do you explain that? But you know the great thing? They're going to be there with wifey that night and the next morning getting ready together to go to work in the bathroom. And wifey's going to be right there. And he's going to look at his fucking head and think of me, not her.
Yep.
I own that bitch.
Yep.
Yeah. I mark my territory.
So great. Because you can't, like... You like every time you get a new haircut, you look in the mirror for like the next like couple weeks. Probably.
Every time they look in the mirror, they have to think of me.
See, this is how I felt like when I went to the strip club, right? Mm-hmm. And I put it all on my credit card, and then the next couple months, as I was paying off the credit card, all I could think about was that
$5 shot now just cost me $35.
What's the treasure club?
Yeah, exactly. It's plus, I mean, people don't understand like and nowadays society, they don't understand the historical thing about haircuts and stuff like that. And there's really a lot to it. In most cultures, it's a symbol of power. It used to be kings, you know, had long hair, and some societies in Europe, they would identify what you were based on your haircut.
Oh wow! Only
kings were allowed to have long hair. Only queens were allowed to have long hair, you know, and like different class of people could only have this and that. So in a lot of cultures, it was actually shameful to get your hair cut.
Really?
Yeah. So they would do it as a punishment.
Is that how you chose your name? Does your name come into play at all with haircuts? How so?
Yeah. Well, because I think I think that was the first time that I ever realized that as a little kid, I think that was the first time that I ever got turned on. Honestly, thankfully it was in church. Yeah. And we were hearing the story. We were hearing the story of Samson and Delilah. And she's like, and Delilah, like, you know, God wouldn't let Samson, he wasn't supposed to tell the secret of his strength. And then finally Delilah was so gorgeous that on the third time he confessed it to her. And then she sheared him like a fucking sheep while he slept. Like, you deserve it.
He couldn't handle her twerking.
You choose the behavior, you choose the consequence. Domination 101.
Damn.
Delilah is the original fucking OG dominatrix. I am honored to carry her name. Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And there's some people who don't make that reference, you know, or get that, but that's where it came from. Absolutely. It was either her or Salome.
Okay.
Mistress Elizabetha actually gave me. She was going back between Delilah and Salome. Do you know who Salome is?
I do not. It sounds from like I know the name, but I'm like right now no.
Okay, she was the one who did the dance of the seven veils at this dinner one night, and the king was like, "That was the hottest fucking thing I've ever seen in the world. You can have anything in my kingdom that you want." So she went to her mom and said, "Mommy, I don't know what I want." And her mom said, "You want the head of John the Baptist." And so Salome went back to the king and said, "I want the head of John the Baptist." Off with his head.
That's power.
Damn right it is.
That's power.
Women run this world. Men just don't know it. They're too stupid to know it.
I feel like I heard that in a Beyonce song one time.
Well, I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's right. It took like 6 songwriters to write that song, actually. That's a true story.
Really?
The song's like 23 or 24 words long. Took 6 writers to come up with it.
Who run the world? Girls?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a true story.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shout out to Beyonce. She's great.
I'm glad you enjoy her. I'm glad you enjoy her.
I've learned to enjoy Beyonce. It wasn't
Is that what you have to do? Does that take a lot of patience? How long did that take?
When you're forced to listen to Beyonce and Cardi B a lot, you're like, well, I like this.
Maybe they'll pay me by the minute to listen to them and learn how to like them. Right? Like, bitch, my $9 a minute. I'm waiting. Like, your bill is, here's your invoice, bitch. All I did was listen to 2 songs. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Do you feel like doming, doing cam work, do you feel like your views on like men or women have changed at all?
Hell yes.
How so?
Do you want the real answer or do you want the tactful answer?
What do you think will be better? People like better for the podcast.
Well, I don't really give a shit. I'm going to tell them one way or another.
Well, let's go with the real answer.
Okay, the real answer is this, and I get this question so many times from people. They're like, they seriously don't understand. I know from my friends in the industry, right? Like, I've learned this not just through my own experience, but it's been vouched for. Okay. And I think anybody that's in this industry will tell you that, unless like you only serve a certain clientele or you don't do those things. That being said, my view on men has definitely changed a lot. Yeah. I don't give a fuck what they say. I don't care how fucking whatever masculine they are. 90% of the men in this world want dick. And if they tell you different, they're fucking lying. 90% of the men in this world want dick. And especially that's why they want a transsexual.
Does plastic dick count in that?
Of course. I mean, there's a lot of you'll have the guys that go in like into the cam model site, any of the girls on Streamate, and they want dick. They want to like be forced to have a strap on or a frozen banana or whatever else the fuck. I actually have one guy fuck himself. I was like, well, what toys do you have? And he was like, I don't have any. And I was like, well, the fuck are you doing here? And I was like, oh, and now you just lied to me. So now it's going to be another extra thing that's going to bad happen to you.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't lie. I don't have any toys. I was like, I see a curtain rod back there. And he was like,
"You got a shower, don't you?
So the curtain that have like the thing on the end. Like, yeah, I was like, well, guess where that's going, loser." And he literally, like, I just made him shove it up his ass and then bounce on it. And he went, and I was like, and I took a picture of him because this was on Skype. I took a picture of him and he's got this 6-foot shower thing running out of his ass. And I'm like, yeah, I own you. When you're able to make somebody do that and they don't even think a second thought about it, that is power. For sure. Yeah. And even if I was like, well, I don't want to. I didn't ask you if you wanted to. I've told you what you're doing. Did you think I care? Did I ask? No. Well, it's going to, you're fucking right. It's going to hurt. It's either that or the baseball bat. You choose. Like my favorite time this year, it was actually on cam, like the first day of baseball season. The Orioles are my favorite team. And so I had like a brand new Victoria's Secret pink Orioles baseball jersey. And like I'm wearing an Orioles hat, and this is the first time I'm doing Orioles makeup, and this guy's like, and I was like, it's baseball season. I'm so happy, and I was like, I don't care how bad my Orioles ever do. Every game they lose, you're gonna pay for it. And I was like, do you think those baseball bats are just for hitting baseballs? No. They're for hitting all balls and going another way that you don't really want them to go. And it's like, I love what I do. It's you just get creative. And like when that guy was like, I mean, yeah, we laugh about it. He had a, but you just have fun with it and you just go with it. And it's nice having that much control and power over someone.
Yeah.
And they a lot of times I think that men as well, they won't really admit to this, but they're naturally submissive a lot of the time. And again, it doesn't matter. I mean, it comes from different things. Usually it's a person with a very high powerful job and they want to have the power stripped away from them, which again plays back into hair. I'm stripping power away from you.
Yeah.
And you know it. So they want to lose control. They want to be told what to do. They want, and that's part of it for some people. But 90% of the guys in this world want dick. I don't give a fuck what they say. They can lie to themselves and everybody else while they want. It's true. And the proof of that is wanting to be with a transsexual. Did that go ahead? Yeah, it's true. Like, I am the fucking best of both worlds. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying a thing against men or women anyway. My girlfriend will tell you, like, I will go ahead and eat her out, like, the best thing in the world. But, like, I can go ahead and fuck her better than she's ever been fucked before and have her toes curled. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the best of both worlds. And so you have these men who don't want to be with a guy to go get cock. That would make them gay. Right?
Yeah.
That makes them gay. And so that's one of the questions I get asked the time. Like, Domina, I'm not gay, but I want cock.
I feel like if they're like, well, if there's a lady attached to the dick, then it's okay.
Well, now you're getting into the more deeper part of it. It's absolutely true. The reason they come to me is because they want cock. But if they think that it's a woman that's doing it, well, now they can relieve themselves of that guilt.
Yeah.
Now they can now it's different. Their ego doesn't think that they're gay anymore.
Yeah.
No, I'm with a woman who has, and then it's a woman like you. Well, what kind of woman is that? As special as me? The one that was born in August? The one that loves autumn as her favorite season?
What's so fun, like, literally, so I went to the park yesterday right by the stadium. I met up with one of my friends, and she's telling me, like, one of her friends that she was kind of hooking up on Tinder, loves, like, pegging, right? And he's like, I didn't
Love
even,
it.
he's like, when we were doing it, he's like, I didn't even, like, I thought that the dick was your dick. Like, it wasn't like it was, like, not attached. Like, it was all like, you were fucking me with your dick, and it's...
Mm-hmm. Well, there's another thing. Like, I'm very upfront in telling my clients in person that my boy junk, my bits and pieces are not for them.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients are shocked, like my real life in-person clients, that I'm very clear. I'm not fucking you with my cock. Like, they're like, but you said you have 8.5 inches, and I'm like, yeah, my girlfriend and loves it, but that's not for you. That's for her.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's my thing, and that's a boundary for me. If you don't want, if you're not, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care. But that's what's going to happen. And I also think it goes a little bit deeper. It's because then it's more of like, then if that's what they're looking for, then that's a whole fetish. And being transsexual, like, I am not a tranny. That is so fucking derogatory. And as soon as, like, whether it be like somebody on the phone or even on Streamate, like, I'm not a transsexual. I'm not a tranny. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
If you were gonna have your girlfriend fuck you, would she fuck you with a cock? No, she doesn't have one. She'd use a fucking strap on.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna do it better than she could. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I mean, it's like, I mean, for me, that's just what it is, and like, that's one of my personal boundaries, and that's just fine. Like, that's for me and the person I'm in a relationship with.
Yeah.
But they don't care. They just want to get fucked. They want to get owned. They want to, like, I think it's they. Not only is it the fact that they can't, especially with a dominatrix, because now not only am I a woman, right? Now it's really okay. But with a dominatrix, you're making me do it. So it's like, it's not their choice anymore. wink, wink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a way for themselves to relieve themselves. Like we were talking earlier, how transsexual women are by far murdered at this point more than any other part of or gender or race or anything in this in the country, well, in the world actually. And it's because, and I tell people, I'm a huge fan of Jamie Clayton and Tracy, and it's true. And I heard them say this: trans women aren't murdered for being trans. They're murdered by men because the men don't see the transsexual. They see what they hate about themselves.
Yeah,
it's like.
It's because you're revealing shit about me that I don't fucking like.
Yeah.
And I need to stop this.
Yeah. So, like, it's that guilt. Like, you did this to me. Well, no, you did it to yourself. You just, like, I don't judge you. If that's what you want, great. Go for it. Whatever makes you happy. Like, but sexually. But it's like, when you start, like, I relieve your guilt of you thinking that you're a homosexual if you want dick. And so people ask me all the time, and I actually always have two different answers. This is really funny. And it depends on my mood. Like, everything with me always depends on my mood. Like, one of the questions I get asked a lot, and I actually made a video of this on Streaming, and it's funny. They'll ask me, they're like, Domina, am I gay? And so my first answer, if I'm in a good mood, is, well, human beings are born. They're born with two innate things. One is the fear of a loud sound. And the other is the ability to suck. Because if they don't suck, you're not going to latch on. If you don't latch on, you're not going to get nutrition. You're going to die. So you're born with the innate ability and desire to suck. I mean, come on. That's why men suck on breasts. That's why, That's why I do it. There you go. You see, it's just back there and you don't know, and you love it. So it just goes back to them. It's like, okay, well, what else can I suck on? And then they see dick, and it's like, they want to suck on that cock. It's innate. So I tell them that, right? And it's like, and you know what? And I was like, there's no such thing or good or bad. Don't judge you. It just is what it is. Why put a label on it? It doesn't, so that's like, and I honestly do feel that way, right?
Yeah.
That's my honest opinion when I'm in a good mood.
See, I like the good mood answer. That feels
Thank
nice.
you. You
what's
ready?
What's the bad mood
you
answer?
You want to get it? How you want me to say it the way that I say it?
I feel like in the bad mood, I'm gay at the end of that.
Are you gonna be okay with this? Okay, here it goes. They're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Well, let me ask you a question." I'm like, "Do you want to suck dick?" And they're like, "Yes, ma'am." And I'm like, "Do you want to cock up your ass?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, well, then you're a fucking faggot. What are you not sure about, if fucktard? Like, you're a fucking faggot. You want dick. You're a man. You want dick. Yes, you're fucking gay. Any questions? Do you know how to breathe? How did you live this long being so fucking stupid? Like, natural selection was good to you, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, like, that's what I'm in about.
How do they, what happens when you say that?
They love it.
Yeah.
They love it. Like, then they're probably, like, if it's like they're like even more turned on. They're like, oh my god, like, and then sometimes, like, people who don't think about it and they hear that and then it like they get turned on by it even more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's okay. I'm not judging you. And then people all of a sudden, I mean, there's a lot of people who, in my experience that I've been with, I mean, they'd love to be called faggot and gay and homo, like, they love it. I
think too, like you were saying, like, you absolve almost any responsibility by it being forced on you.
Absolutely. That's the key, right? And that's the psychological component behind it. And again, I'm glad that I took this stuff in college to learn about these types of things, because it is your ego won't let you admit that you're gay.
Yeah.
But all the time it happens. Like, okay, so I kind of did this one time. I was at this club, and this guy was picking up on me. I don't date men. I'm not attracted. Well, it's true. I'm not attracted to men in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I mean, I only date fucking hot, gorgeous models, and that's the truth. And all my friends will tell you that. They're like, Jesus Christ, how did you get? I'm like,
me and you both.
Exactly, right? So I've seen her. So yeah, you did pretty good. Anyway, like, they were just daring me to just go ahead and fuck with this person, like, and just have fun. And so I was like, and I was like, oh my god, do you want to go in the bathroom with me? And I'm like, yeah. And yeah. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden we get there and like, I'm like, take your clothes off. And like, he's like so fucking hot and like ready for this shit. And then I'm like, you want me to take mine off? And he's like, yeah. And like, I take my shirt off and like, I have a bra on. And I was like, you want to take my pants down? And they're like, oh my God. Because by this time they're like, and then all of a sudden I pull my pants down and they see an 8.5-inch dick and they're like, I was like, oh, I didn't tell you? You didn't know? Oh, I hope this doesn't change anything, does it? And what do you think happens?
They run out of the bathroom.
Fuck no. They're like, no, it doesn't.
Oh.
You know what I mean? All the fucking time.
A twist in the story. I didn't
But
see
the
that
thing,
coming.
I would never fuck them. And I'm like, well, it kind of did for me. I'm not interested anymore. And then I fucking leave. Right? But like what I did is I left this guy fucking naked in a bathroom and he's too stupid to know that I fucking just made him an idiot.
Now he's just like confused.
Yeah, like all that macho man shit that he had is now fucking gone. Because not only did he have the hottest, he thought that he picked up the hottest fucking woman in the bar that night, but she had a dick. And oh my, now he's going to tell his friends, like, oh yeah, I had this chick, we went to the bathroom, and he's probably lying to them saying how he got fucked his, his eyes out and stuff like that. And instead, I just love oblitterating egos. And it's like, I'm not interested anymore. I don't even like men. Yeah. And it's like, that's kind of a funny story. Yeah.
That's great.
The only thing that could make it better is when he was naked, if I shot him with a taser on the toilet. You know what I mean? So that way all the shit comes straight in the toilet when he shits his pants. That would totally... And I mean, and then if there were tears, that would make me happy too. Yeah. I love seeing people cry.
See, I can only do it after I watch like a good sports documentary, like a 30 for 30, then it'll happen.
What, 30 tasers for 30 minutes?
Just crying.
What do you mean 30 for 30? Like, what is that?
No, these ESPN like sports documentaries. Oh, okay. The 30 for 30. I don't know. They did a bunch of yeah. So I feel like I need a good like sports documentary, and that'll really just like get the emotions going to where I'm like, might be able to shed a tear.
Oh, well now we're talking about that. I'm a fucking, this is going to like totally blow my image, but I am like, in my personal life, I am the biggest sentimental sap. Like, it will not take much. I mean, I've been through a lot of loss in my life. I mean, I've had pretty much my entire family die. My best friend killed herself, like, when I was 20. Like, just a lot of stuff. And, like, so I take life very seriously in my personal life. And, like, my friends are like, how are you the sweetest person in the world? And I'm like, I'm not, you are. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about me. It's not. Yeah. And so, like, I'll see those stories. It started like with the Olympic stories.
Oh god!
I'm a fucking baller.
I used to the '96 Olympics, right? It was in Atlanta, and my parents got these fucking VHS tapes of the games.
Oh my god! And at least it wasn't Betamax.
Fucking Carrie Strug or whatever, the like Olympic girl that like broke her leg. Yeah, and then had to do the fucking. I don't know, where you run down the thing and do the pommel horse. I don't fucking know. Mm-hmm. But, like, they're, like, overcoming all this shit. Yeah. You're like, oh, my God, it's so beautiful. Right. Their dreams are coming true.
Okay, so one of my, even though she's not a dominatrix, one of my biggest influences as a dominatrix is the wrestler Alexa Bliss. Okay. Because if you see her character, she's just she should be I mean, she's making more money as a WWE. She's a total dominatrix. And so it's totally funny because... I mean, there's Alexa Bliss, the character, and then there's Lexi Kaufman, the person. And people just know her character. They don't know that she was hospitalized in high school with an eating disorder, and the doctors told her parents, we don't know if she's going to live for another 2 days.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, she had such a bad eating disorder that she was actually hospitalized twice. And to overcome it, and I mean, once she started healing and getting better and dealing with it, she started bodybuilding.
Nice.
And then she was the youngest person to ever get their professional bodybuilder card.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, and that's inspiring. That, like, I'm gonna tear up. Like that fucking. And now that she has this platform and she pays it forward and helps people. So when I see like the Super Bowl is what really does it. Oh, okay. You know, when they have like those 6-hour Super Bowl thing, and they always have this player and like Warwick Dunn from Florida State. His mom police officer.
He buys houses for people.
They didn't have one. His mom got shot and killed as an officer in the line of duty. And he raised his like, are you... Yeah. Like, yeah. It's funny because my friends, if there's anything funny or it's like funny or sentimental like that, I mean, I'm so like... It's so funny. It's so easy to make me cry, like for something like that.
Yeah.
And my friends are like, "There she blows." I'm like, yeah, that's what she said. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Are you a fan of stand-up comedy at all?
I am.
You got a favorite? You got a favorite comic or you got a favorite?
I like Russell a lot. I think I started liking him when he was in Get Him to the Greek.
Oh, okay. Russell, what's his brand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Russell Brand.
Yeah.
I actually loved. I think the first comedian I liked was Sam Kinison.
That's so funny. His fucking shit about Jesus, like
that was it. Like, okay, so he had that joke. He's like, yeah, Jesus wasn't married. He's like, no fucking woman is gonna be like, well, where have you been the last 3 days? Where's your 12 loser friends who won't get a job? And he's sitting there going, he's like, Jesus being nailed to the cross. He's hanging up there and he's like, this shit wouldn't have it happen if somebody had bladder and a pair of pliers. And you're laughing at this shit and you're like, why am I laughing when I feel so bad? Yeah. It's just yeah. God. So at first it was Sam Kinison and now Russell Brand. I think he's really funny. I watch him nationally wise, but we have a comedy zone here in Charlotte. And so I love to go there a lot because you just see different people.
Yeah. Comedy zone's a good spot. I feel like I guess maybe I performed there twice, but I like it a lot.
Pauly Shore. I liked Pauly Shore, believe it or not.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't know that he was a comedian before, and his mom owns the comedy. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. I just saw this dude on MTV, and I was like, okay. But then he put out an album.
Yeah.
And he did this whole thing about Valley girls speaking French.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I've seen it.
He goes. So the other day I was hearing this Valley girl speaking French. Taylor doesn't like this story, obviously. She's like, I heard this Valley girl speaking French. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sure, monsieur, for sure. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so sure, monsieur, for sure. It was you've never lived until you've heard a Valley girl speaking French. Yeah, so then actually after that I went to Canada on a trip and we were up in Toronto, and they always think that we're stupid Americans no matter where we are in the rest of the world. We're all stupid Americans. Yep. So I of course have to live up to that. I mean, I don't want to disappoint. I'm a people pleaser. I don't want to disappoint anybody. So obviously they speak French there, right? So I'm like, I'm sorry, no habla français.
No habla français.
Yeah, I was like, no habla français. Okay. And they're like, oh my God, you fucking stupid
American.
Stupid fucking American. And then especially with a southern accent, you fucking loser bitch. Yeah. Oh yeah, well bless your heart, fucker. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Delilah, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's been so much fun.
Well, thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. Before we get out of here, do you want to plug any kind of social media or anything for the people?
It's a little bit crazy. I have a website where all of my links are. It's just Domina Delilah Shears.us, which is Domina Delilah Shears us, or DominaDelilah.com. I'm sorry, DominaDelilahShears.com.
Okay.
I have a Twitter, which it's the screen name is nothing. It's just MSRan19. Where I do all of my stuff. On Instagram, I'm at Domina Delilah Bliss. So, yeah. Sweet. I mean, I have different things for different platforms, so the website's probably the easiest.
Okay.
And then people can always find me on StreamMate. I'm always on StreamMate. And I love StreamMate. They've changed my life. They're so awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Delilah, I appreciate you coming. This has been so great.
Thank you. It's been so great. Thanks.
Hell yeah. Listeners, we will be back later. That was my interview with Domina Delilah Bliss. Yo, shout out Delilah. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. That was so much fun. Listeners, she just plugged it. I will plug it again. You can find her on Instagram at Domina Delilah Bliss. Her Twitter at mrian19. Her website, DominaDelilahShears.us. I will have a link to all of those in the Libsyn page from this week, so make sure you hit that Libsyn page. Show her some love. As always, you can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, at Full Service Pod. You can find me at Tank Funkadelic. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you hit that like button, that follow button, that subscribe button. You'll be alerted as soon as every episode drops. Ratings and reviews really do help for visibility for the podcast, so hit us with a 5-star rating or write us a review. That would help us out so much. This has been episode 61. I appreciate you being here. We will be back next week. Who's it going to be? I don't know. I might not. I don't know if I'm going to do a solo again or I'll just like drop another interview. Fucking follow us on Twitter. Find out. I'll probably let the people know what's up there. But I appreciate you being here. I mentioned last week, Patreon. It's happening. I just decided just now. It's going to drop the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So I think like the 24th of November we'll go live. But we'll have a few different tiers. So stay tuned. It's happening. Hey, well, we will be back next Tuesday. Hope you have a great week. Hopefully, Panama City, baby. We're here all fucking week. If you're here, hit me up. Hey, I'll see you later. Peace. Full service.